Never mind, I guess we're dropped and we're not doing anything.
Remember that motherfucking record label exec fucking bailed on us?
Wow. Thank you for not fucking our lives up by signing us, you douchebag.
The Heretic Anthem. It said that song was written about record labels who initially showed no interest in signing a contract with Slipknot.
Yeah. We were actually, essentially, I mean, here's a funny story. We were signed, originally, we were supposed to sign with Sony Records. And we did a showcase in Vegas. I remember it was the Edom Festival, the first and only Edom Festival, and it was done at GameWorks down on the Strip. Very strange place. They set up this little pit stage that we couldn't even fit on, so half of us played on the floor with the pit, right? Head of A&R from Sony shows up and is watching us like this. Goes back to Sony Records, and this is a true story. There was a memo that went out basically saying, do not sign this band. He said, if this is the future of music, I don't want to be alive.
I think I may have heard that.
Luckily, Roadrunner picked us up. Long story short, when we went platinum, we sent him a bouquet of dead flowers, dead roses. They basically said, we are the future of music and we want you dead. Ooh. Sincerely, Slipknot.
Wow.
Thank you for not fucking our lives up by signing us, you douchebag.
Def Jam's distributor Columbia Records refused to release Rain and Blood due to its graphic cover and themes. The album was distributed by Geffen, but it did not appear in the Geffen Records release schedule because of controversial this and that and whatever.
Columbia refused to release Rain and Blood because of Angel of Death.
Okay, strictly because of that song.
Strictly because of that song.
Not that, because the album cover is really not...
It had nothing to do with the album cover. It had everything to do with the song.
Wow. Okay. Was it the same with Geffen not putting it in their release schedule?
Geffen didn't even put their logo, their David Geffen logo on the album. It was just American. It was released through Geffen, but you know what I mean. It's like they kind of like they handled it with gloves, so they wouldn't leave their imprint on it. but Geffen, Geffen picked it up, and which I think was actually a really good opportunity for Ruben because.
Yes.
Because Columbia not releasing the album was a breach of contract. So Ruben was able to get out of that and was able to do his own thing.
American is his label, right?
Yeah, American is his thing. So he was able to get out of that and make his own label.
Said Wind Up Records initially refused to release the Fallen album unless Evanescence would agree to add a full-time male co-vocalist. When the band would not agree to this, the label relented, insisting that only a male vocalist would be featured on Bring Me to Life. You were not happy about it, but agreed.
Yes, that's all
true.
Exactly true.
That's all true. That's a weird thing that they would
I had to
want
fight that fight hard. In fact, we had to leave that place in California, say, never mind, I guess we're dropped and we're not doing anything.
Oh, okay.
Drive all the way back to Arkansas with tears on our eyes that it was not going to work out because we refused to hold auditions and hire a rapper to join the band because that would be so awful. And then when we got there, I guess we called their bluff enough that they were like, okay, we have a movie opportunity and we're going to let you do your thing, but you do have to have the rapper on the one song because they specifically asked for it. I don't know where that came from. So we said, okay, we'll take it. Rapper in one song.
It worked out well.
It did work out. I can't be mad about it now.
Yeah. What would have Bring Me to Life sounded like without the male vocalist?
That's the way we do it live. I love it that way still the best.
Yes? It would have still been one of your backup guys doing the male part in that way?
No, we never wrote the male part. That was something that we had to add the label forced us to create.
Oh, so it would have
So I had to
been...
write a new part and find somebody to sing it. Or
Gotcha.
Say it.
Oh, yeah, say it.
Yeah.
Exactly. It said the band was apprehensive to sign with Roadrunner at first. And after 6 months of deliberation, you guys finally agreed.
Yeah, give or take, yeah.
About 6 months.
Yeah.
Obviously, the relationship is great now. What was it about the time that was uneasy about?
Just being, aware of the music and how trends come and go, and when a bigger label takes notice of a smaller band, there's always that sort of like, oh, what's your motive?
Yeah.
And I think that's where all like, what's the angle you're working here?
Who are you looking to recreate?
Right, yeah, or something like that, you know what I mean? And for us, there was a bit of that here and there, but we stuck to our guns and made Elaborate Just Breathing. So.
Yeah. And it worked.
So there.
Yeah. Still with Roadrunner. Black Veil Brides first came to the attention of to Lava Records president Jason Flom. Flom, is that right?
Yes, you nailed it.
There you go. When the chief music officer at Hot Topic told him about the incredible buzz that was building around your band, and at that point your T-shirt was attracting the second biggest sales in the country at that point.
First biggest sales.
First biggest. I was wondering who's bigger at like a Hot Topic sort of store.
At the time, it was outselling like this was when the Twilight thing was big. So it was outselling Twilight merchandise.
Really?
And so that was kind of the big thing because to certain people that are in the circles of making money off of that stuff, they get a little upset when the thing that's on an indie label that they've never heard of is outselling all of their artists. So that's sort of what attracted many major labels to us, and it just turned out that Jason Flom was the right guy and actually got the band. Most of the major labels that we went into when we first started kind of courting the idea of doing that wanted us to be whatever band they already had. Oh, you could be the next My Chemical Romance or whatever you like major band. Okay. And it was never like we like what you do. It's like, oh, well, we can see that we can kind of move some stuff around and make you into this. So Jason was always all about having the band be the band. But yes, in the beginning, that's where it came from.
It says that Pantera was signed to a record label by a scout who was stranded due to a hurricane, and the Pantera saw the scout at the venue, were disheartened when he left mid-set, but it turned out he had left to phone the record label to tell them to sign Pantera as soon as possible.
I have no clue
No idea.
about the getting stranded part.
Oh, the hurricane. Okay.
But I'll fill you in on what really happened. We were made aware that an A&R rep from Atco Records was there. And at the end of the show, it was like, okay, where is this dude? You know,
Okay.
You know, so sure enough, you know, he did bail. And so we were all disheartened because we had been through
Lots of labels.
lots of labels. And they were all telling us, nah, we don't think you. We don't think. But this guy thought, and we didn't know it at the time, but I guess about a week later at the very most, boom, 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 boom on my apartment door. Open it up, dime bag, walks in, he goes, remember that motherfucking record label exec fucking bailed on us? And I'm like, yes, sir, I do. He goes, well, motherfucker wants to offer us a fucking record label deal. You know, so it was like, surprise, you know. Sure enough, and that is true. But the only thing that I can debate is him getting stuck by weather.
We don't know about the hurricane.
Nah, it's bullshit.
It said that Metal Blade Records signed you guys after the manager of the record store that Chris Barnes worked at sent in your demo tape.
Yeah, pretty much. What was happening at that time when we were, of course, pre-Metal Blade, pre-signed, you know, just a band trying to make it or what have you, we made the demo. Actually, we made the demo prior to the show. You know, we were only formed a few months at this point. You know, I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. Signing with Metal Blade, that was in July of '89. We were formed in December of '88. Right. So we weren't really a band. You know, we were a band without a label or anything, only for a few short months there. But Chris was working at a record store called Cavage's. And that was it was a chain in Western New York, you know, and a lot of the malls and all that. And the guy that was either a manager at one of them or what have you, you know, that was the guy that kind of was helping us out because he had some ties. He had some Buffalo ties.
All
the
right.
Buffalo ties being, well, Mike Faley, the president, well, you know, not this. I guess he would be president. You know, Brian Slagle's the owner CEO, but Mike Faley, the second in command, is from Buffalo. So we basically went through a little bit of, you know, I guess going through the red tape to get, say, our demo tape to Metal Blade, knowing there was a little bit of a Buffalo connection. This guy knew Mike, so there you go. Hey, I'm sending you this demo. Oh, cool, we'll check it out. You know, so yeah, that is a true statement, and you know, it was cool to have a little bit of help in the early days.
Yeah,
like that.
totally. All right, all true so far. The Lysol album. When you requested permission to use the brand name, you were denied, and then Boner Records officially retitled the record Melvins and covered the word Lysol with black tape on the front of the jackets and booklets and with black ink on the spines.
Partially true. We never asked for permission to use the Lysol name.
Never asked.
No.
Did they contact you?
Well, what happened was, honestly, at that point, I didn't think anybody would notice anything like that.
Sure.
I think that
No one from
certainly a
Lysol.
giant corporation would care. And so what they did was, this is the weirdest thing. They found out somehow that we were going to use the name Lysol. Okay. So they sent this guy, he's like a private detective or something, who pretended that he worked for some kind of magazine, or like a fanzine, to come and do an interview with Tom, and find out this information about the record. And Tom was like, okay. And then they lowered the boom with all this giant stack of papers before the record was even out. So we never put it out with that on it. It hadn't come out yet. And then Tom was just like, well, why didn't you just tell me? You didn't have to sneak, What the heck are you doing, So then they were like, oh, we caught you. It's like, well, honestly, we weren't really trying to get away with anything. And so that was when the records were already manufactured, that run of them. So as opposed to destroying them all, which we didn't really have them, nobody was in a position to have that kind of thing happen, we just fixed them to where we could still sell them. That was it.